Hi guys, it's Katie from Just Playing Around. Welcome to my channel. I have a face tutorial for you guys today after being asked a fair few times about how I do my faces and eyes. I'm just going to go through a couple of the tools. If you caught my last video, you'll already be familiar with a few of these. Rubber gloves, silicone tip, dotting tool, cutting tools, soft paintbrush, and isopropyl or rubbing alcohol. That's going to help to remove any of the dust, fingerprints, or any other marks that's on your clay for a nice clean finish. Also an acrylic tile, super helpful to help you hold your work when things are small and neat details. I'll be making an egg yolk face, but you guys can make whatever kind of cutie you like. I use the same technique for all of my faces. I'll just quickly get this rolled to start with, and then we'll begin. If you want to make an egg yolk as well, feel free. I'm just kind of flattening it down, keeping it round at the edges. I'm eventually going to make it flatter on one side and more rounded on the other. The rounded side will be the face. I'm just going to use the table just to push it down and make it nice and flat on that side. Now I'm just going to go over it with the isopropyl. I've popped it onto the acrylic tile now just to help me hold it while I'm doing this. Don't be this rough with it. I actually just sped this up for the video to make it go a little bit quicker because I actually do this really slowly and take my time and make sure it's really perfect. I also clean every piece like this, even if it doesn't really need it. Using the dotting tool now, we're just going to start to make the eye holes. First things first, I want to start by getting the spacing and the leveling right of your eyes. You just want to kind of gently press it in a little bit, kind of making a little indent for where you're going to be eventually pushing in harder and making the hole. Once you're happy with the positioning, just start pressing down a little bit firmer, making that indent a little bit more prominent. I find spinning the tool a little bit as well as you're pressing in really helps stop the tool from sticking to the clay. I'm using the largest dotting tool that I have as well. It's my favourite for all of my eyes. Depending on my charm, if it's a little bit smaller, sometimes I go for the next size down, but usually this is my main one. For the eyes, I'm just going to use black Fimo clay. Start by rolling it out in your palm. I'm going to also use the table now just to roll it out a little bit thinner. Just disregard the first piece that you cut off and then start with the next part. And you want to cut it at about 2mm thick each. They usually kind of stick to the blade. And that way I find I can get them nice and even. I'm going to use my palm and my index finger to roll it into a little ball. And then I'm just going to pick it up gently and drop it in with my fingers. I've tried using all different kinds of tools for this process, but I still just find using my fingers is the best way. Be careful with the face when you've baked it. They become quite fragile and brittle until you're able to put the glazing on. For the mouth and eyebrows, I'm using black Fimo with a really tiny little bit of clay softener, or if you don't have any, you can use Bacon Bond, or sometimes I've even just used black Primo Sculpey is a really soft clay. It just helps to give it flexibility so that you can really roll it out thin and shape it when you're putting it on the face. I find as well just kind of letting it do its own thing and break down into smaller sections so that I can roll it thinner each time it does that. I'll just let you kind of watch the process. If you have any questions, feel free just to leave me a comment. Basically, just keep working it until you're happy with the thickness. Sometimes you can go too thin though, and it'll just start breaking all apart and crumbling. I feel like that's maybe when you need to make it a little bit more flexible with that clay softener. I always like to use my X-Acto blade when I'm cutting mouths and eyebrows as well. I find it just helps me cut them a little bit more accurate. First piece, just throw it away again and work with the next pieces. I always like to have a nice crisp clean edge when I'm starting. So I'm going to cut 3 pieces from about 2mm to 3mm in length. This is where the acrylic tile comes in real handy, just to help me hold my work. Using the silicone tip tool, I'm just going to gently pick up the first piece, which will be for the mouth. Just start by positioning the mouth in the middle where you're going to want it to sit before you start trying to push it on and secure it down. My first aim is to kind of find a nice middle position for the mouth before I start trying to secure it down and hold it on. Just by gently using the tip of the tool, just to kind of move it around. I'm never perfect at this. It can take me quite a while sometimes. Sometimes I have to scrap it and start again with a fresh new piece. Just do whatever's going to work for you. There's no rules in this. When you're happy with the position, just really gently press in the middle spot of the mouth and then start to curve the edges to start making the smile. When you're happy with where the mouth is sitting, just kind of press lightly over the whole thing, but not too hard. You don't want to leave any dents or anything, but you also want to make sure that you secure it down the best way that you can. Remember me saying though that the mouths and eyebrows are always going to be the most fragile part after you bake before you glaze. You know, I've seen lots of people using bacon bonds to kind of hold their mouths and eyebrows down. Personally, I've tried this and I don't really like it. I don't like the finished result. I much prefer just to be careful with my work until I'm ready to glaze it, and then once it's glazed, you're good to go. It's exactly the same process for the way you do the eyebrows also, so I'll kind of just let you watch from here. Feel free to play around with the expressions of your cuties as well, different shapes of eyebrows. I generally stick with just the one. I love this derpy little face. It gets me every time. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it and found it useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more tutorials.